Hi friends, in this video we are going to take one very orange coffee table that has definitely seen better days and give it a very modern transformation. To be honest, I don't think you can believe your eyes of how good this table looks after we're done with it. So the first thing we're going to do is strip this top. I want to sand it back and I want to do a paint wash on top of it. But first we needed to strip down all of this heavy top coat and see what we have underneath. And I'm using one of my favorite strippers. This stripper is very potent and it works really fast. When you're doing a lot of furniture refinishing, you want products that work fast. And this is great for that. It's available in Canada. I don't know if it's available in the US. I absolutely love it. So the first thing we're going to do is strip all of this, and if you can see all of these little marks that are left after stripping, those are scratches in the surface of the coffee table. It is made out of knotty pine, which is quite a soft wood. I'm not sure it's necessarily the best wood for a coffee table, but this is what we're working with. A little tip here, do you see that little piece of paper that I have in the middle of the stripper residue? I actually use that to spread the paint stripper all over the tabletop. I recently learned that little tip somewhere in YouTube land, and it's actually ingenious because you're not wasting a paintbrush. You can just use that and toss it. After I was done with the stripper and everything had dried, it was time to sand. I started with 80 grit. I did 80, 100, 150, 180, and finished off with 220. I was actually surprised how well this wood sanded down. I was afraid I was going to have to fight all of these little micro scratches and so forth, but it actually cleaned up beautifully. After I had the top surface ready to be paint washed, I started working on the base, and in order to protect the tabletop, I wrapped it up in plastic. I didn't want anything to get onto that surface, and I didn't want that surface to be harmed in any way. And as with every other project that we have to get started with prepping. So I am using the TSP Alternative by Fusion to get everything off of this table, all of the dirt and grime. I didn't have to worry about that on the top because we stripped it. However, the base needed to be cleaned and washed. For a list of the supplies that I'm using, check out the description. A lot of the products you can find on our website, Dove+Arrow.com, and we ship to Canada and the US. I have also included a little coupon code in the description for you to give you a little incentive towards your first purchase. After completing the cleanup, the next step was to scuff sand the whole area. Of course, surf prep is a little bit overworked there. It needs a couple of replacements, but I opted to do everything by hand, which you can do as well if you don't have a sander. Just keep everything as scuff sand and then clean up all of the dust residue. And as always, prep takes the longest, and now it's finally time to spray. I'm using this beautiful cast iron color by Fusion mineral paint that you can find on the website. It's a beautiful dark gray, almost black, almost like a soft black. And of course, no project is complete without a little oopsie. I probably spilled more paint than I used, but that's how it goes. That little container, I believe this is the second coffee table that I've used it on, as well as 2 side tables. And I probably can squeeze out one more coffee table or a pair of nightstands out of it. Spilling it kind of wasted quite a bit, but otherwise it's you can get quite a lot of projects out of one little can of paint. I did a total of 2 coats. Actually, the coverage was pretty awesome after just 1 coat, but I opted to do 2 coats of paint, and then I did 2 coats of a polyacrylic top coat. You can see here I simply poured it straight into the hopper of my spray gun so that I can mix the top coat with the paint, and then I applied another 3 coats of top coat just to get everything protected. After all this work, it was finally time to unwrap the top and get the paint wash on and transform this orange pine into something gorgeous. Now you can use a regular stain, or you can use almost any oil-based product. But what I really enjoyed using is doing an Algonquin paint wash, Algonquin by Fusion Mineral Paint, on top of the surface, because it lets you take away all of that orange undertone, and then when you seal it, you are able to get a very nude, kind of calm, peaceful look. And you can see here I'm just adding water to wipe back the dust, and you can see how orange that wood is. So if I just applied a top coat on this, it would turn orange again. So in order to prevent that and get a natural finish, I'm going to use Algonquin. I'm going to do a paint wash. Now there's several different ways you can do this, and everyone has a technique of their own. Some people like to pre-mix the water and the paint 50-50, 25-75, and so forth. What I like to do is to wet the surface with my mister and work in small sections. Take my paintbrush, dip it in a can of paint, and paint it on while keeping the paint and surface wet. So I'm not letting it dry. I'm working in small sections and keeping everything very, very wet so that I can then go on and just wipe it back very thoroughly. And usually it takes me about 3 coats of this process in order to get the color that I want. And of course, if you want it to be lighter, you can only do it once or twice. If you want it to be more solid in color, you can do it far more. It's up to you. The key, I find, is to let everything dry completely so that you can take a look at the actual color that you're getting, because the wet tabletop will look very different than the dry. A lot of the undertones of the wood are more visible when the tabletop is wet. Something important to keep in mind when you're working with raw wood in water is that the water will make the fibers in the wood stick up. So you want to make sure you let the surface thoroughly dry in between coats, as well as giving everything a very light sand in between coats of the paint wash, as well as your top coat, because you want to make sure that nothing prickly is sticking up. As well as, I waited for the table to thoroughly dry a couple of days before applying the top coat. I didn't want any of that water to be stuck underneath the top coat, and I wanted it to have a chance to evaporate. We did put a lot of water onto raw wood, and it's important to let it thoroughly dry. So once it was done, I applied 6 coats of this polyacrylic top coat. I actually then added another 3 coats of the Annie Sloan clear wax to give it extra protection. I brought the table inside to photograph it, and it was time for final touches, like unwrap this little drawer that I kept forgetting about throughout the whole process, and adding a cute little knob to modernize the coffee table. So let's take a look at what we started with, and I think this table has come a very, very long way. I hope that you found something interesting in this video, you learned something. Perhaps you can hit that share button and share it with someone else that also likes painting furniture. I'd love to hear your feedback on this transformation. And if you are interested in watching more videos weekly, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video.